What's goody, y'all? It's Goody, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Gabbing with Goody Gabor. You can like, subscribe, and comment right here at Goody Gabor Gabs. You can also follow me on IG, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Goody Gabor. I appreciate your attendance. Now let's get into it. And we are back with Season 7, Episode 8 of Growing Up Hip Hop. We are rejoining Jojo and Denise because now Jojo must tell Denise how his meetup with her dad went left. So he starts off by saying, your dad is nuts. I get it. I get why you don't deal with this man. Denise is like, well, what happened? And Jojo's like, he threw a bucket of ice on me. Whole bucket, ice on me. And Denise is like, where did it go left? And he's like, it just went left. We saw what it was, right? Like, we saw how, like, Buck's whole body said, I'm going to disrespect this man as soon as he entered the room. So Denise is like, I just don't get it. Not quite sure why my dad is having this response to you. Let me call him and figure it out. Denise calls, and her dad's like, what, Nene? What, Nene? What? She's like, Dad, why'd you throw a bucket of ice on Jojo? There's still no explanation. Maybe Buck is not good at explaining himself. Yeah, I think that has to be what it is. He's not used to explaining himself to anyone. So when charged with doing that, he fails miserably. So he's like, it was either throw the ice on him or drag him by his collar. Denise is like, well, why were these the options? And he's like, I can't speak. You woke me up. Now, from my perspective, if Jojo is just getting to the room and I can tell which rooms these are, I feel like I know which hotel this is. And it's not that far from Quad Studios. What point did Buck have to fall asleep? Did he fall asleep at work, in the studio? Not unheard of. Was Buck high? Is that what was at play? Because it doesn't make sense. Denise hangs up on her dad when she realizes he's not going to explain himself. So then she looks to Jojo, and basically Jojo let her know his issue with me is that I'm not controlling you. His issue with me is that I'm not forcing you to deal with him. And when I mentioned I'm the one who tries to get her to engage with you, he said, she don't gotta engage with me. Again, childish. But I think it's fair for us to assume that this is how Buck gives it up on a regular basis. In any event, Denise goes on to describe the fact, or to tell us, that her dad was there for her whole childhood. He was there for all of his children. Great father up until the point where she met Jojo. She met Jojo, and something about her meeting Jojo made Buck feel like he could wash his hands of having to be her dad because now she had a man, which to me is extremely toxic and backwards, because as parents, we don't want our children to need anyone else for sustenance. That's the quickest way for them to end up in a bad situation. So apparently when Denise turned 18 and started dating Jojo, her dad was like, okay, you don't need me because you have a man. And anything that she needed at that point, his response was, well, why can't Jojo do it? Weird flex again, because my experience with my dad and my family, period, is they wouldn't want me to be in a position where I needed someone so bad that I could be manipulated by that person. So again, it's a weird flex. If you ask me, I think this got something to do with Run. There is no way that this is not rooted in who Jojo's dad is, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Another thing that has come to mind is that perhaps Buck doesn't like the fact that every point of access he has in the industry is also available and open to Jojo by virtue of who he is and his bloodline. It's the only thing that makes sense. So when it comes to Denise not letting her dad walk her down the aisle, her mindset was, you were not there to walk me through this relationship. Every time I needed to level up, I needed to depend on this man. You did not support this relationship, so I do not want you walking me towards my future husband. That sound logic to me, but Buck didn't like it and Buck don't get it. Jojo finally just tells her, look, if you want to go meet with your dad to have this discussion, go do it. And when in romance, what Jojo is doing is giving his wife the authority to navigate this terrain as she sees fit. In other situations I have had the opportunity to view, a man would be like, yeah, that's it. It's a wrap for him. In our family, I'm good and you should be good too. But Jojo's not doing that because Jojo and his wife seemingly have a strong union. I'm just like, wow. I wonder what Denise's mom thinks seeing all of this transpire live on stage. It's rather disgusting if you ask me. So we are now with TeeTee. TeeTee's working from home. She's at her computer and she decides to give E.8 a call. Possibly because E.8 is just wrapping up her gender reveal party. Definitely because she's thinking if E.8 is going to be in LA, she's having a welcome to LA party for herself and Shawn. And she wants to invite E.8. Just E.8. However, E.8, believing that her and TeeTee are back where they once were, starts talking about how she'll pull Shawn over to the side and her and Shawn can have a discussion about the situation with Sam. TeeTee's like, you know what? That's not going to work for Shawn. It's definitely not going to work for me. I don't want to be the kind of person who tells you that your spouse is not invited to my home. So at this stage, I think it's best if we don't do this brunch. Let's do something some other time. E.8 is surprised. She's like, am I invited and uninvited in the same call? And TeeTee's just like, I'm trying to be fair. I'm still where I was as it relates to your union. Shawn is same and nothing's changed there. So let's not. E.8 in her confessional discusses how she doesn't understand what Shawn's problem is. She doesn't know what the issue is between Shawn and Sam. She's so confused. However, not long ago, I don't know the sequence of recording, but we do know that Sam said he would fight Shawn. He wouldn't let Shawn get jumped, but after helping Shawn get jumped, he would fight Shawn, and Shawn is, kind of like implying Shawn is soft and all he does is run to Pepper and Tretch with complaints. Shawn responded to that in real time, like after last week's episode, and he was like, dude, I've spoken to you one-on-one on so many occasions. I'm not doing it for the show. You're not going to fight me for money. You're not going to fight me, period. You know where I am. I've already told you to pull up. So E.8 is not lost on the fact that there's a Shawn and Sam issue. She wants to appear lost, and that's problematic to me. Ooh, next up we have Lil E, or right now he's the E. We have E Jr and Aaliyah. E realizes that he's been bugging for the past couple of months, maybe longer, and he wants to show his wife that he appreciates her and that he's been listening. On one hand, this is Aaliyah and E giving us a snapshot into their life. I'm not sure if it's their real life, but I'm going to say, yeah, this is their real life. What I think is important about this and why I don't want to run through it is because when we initially saw Aaliyah lock Easy out the house, he mentioned that his dad didn't have women to hold him accountable. And even though he was saying that in front of his grandparents, his dad's mom and his uncle, even though he was saying it in front of them, the brag that we normally see associated with Easy and his dad he took it back a bit. And he said, I am happy to be breaking the generational curse of having a wife and being accountable. So kudos to Easy for trying to put some action behind his words. I dig it. I think Aaliyah dug it. I think that she has set boundaries for what their relationship should look like going forward. I believe it's Tuesdays and Thursdays he can be at the casino. No, Tuesdays and Thursdays are date night. Those are the nights for her. I think that's fair. And I love this for them. Hopefully it's something with sticking power because their children are beautiful. Like a Black, beautiful family. I'm all on board for it. Denise takes a moment to go see her dad. It looks like they're at the Brooklyn Chop House. So she goes, she wants to see her dad. She wants to see why he was so disrespectful to her husband. When she walks in, her brother Chev, who was there, who kind of de-escalated the situation between Jojo and Buck. He's like, oh man, it's about to be a long conversation. Buck, once again, he's looking at his phone. He doesn't look up to even greet Denise. For me, that's disrespectful. And it seems to me that whatever situation Buck is in, there's going to be disrespect. As an example, Denise enters the restaurant. Buck doesn't look up from his phone. He doesn't acknowledge her. However, when Buck entered the baby's birthday party, he wanted to be addressed. He wanted to be respected. It's not measuring up. But what I have found in this life is people who beat you in the head about being disrespectful are often the most disrespectful people of all, right? So they're having the conversation. He doesn't let Denise get anything out. There's not much she can say. She's trying to say, tell me what the issue is with my husband. Buck's real issue is the wedding. He didn't get to walk her down the aisle. All right, I guess that could be considered disrespectful, but she's like, well, why didn't you ask me why you weren't able to walk me down the aisle? Buck doesn't have a real answer for that because he doesn't want to hear the answers to that. So she lets him know, you didn't support me as I walked through the relationship. Why would I have you walk me down the aisle to marry the man who actually held me down? Again, I think that's logical. She's like, well, are you going to apologize to my husband? And Buck says, I thought about that. Mind you, this is what he's saying while rolling up. Nothing against smoking. However, maybe he's high when he's acting out. Or maybe that's why he can't gather his thoughts in a good enough way to help us all understand what his true issue is. And I kind of wish Chev would have been like, oh, Dad's issue is this, because at least we would know. But Buck has thought about it. He's not going to apologize to Jojo. Anyone who tries to meet him head up is going to get disrespected. He doesn't have that many levels. He's proud about not having many levels. And This is who he is, and he's unapologetically who he is. Okay, I guess. When Denise realizes she's talking to a brick wall, she gets up and she leaves. His inability to apologize or to hold himself accountable disgusted Denise. You could tell the brother's not really well aligned with it, but he seems to be well indoctrinated into the Buck lifestyle. I know I was disgusted. Buck could have stayed off screen if this was going to be his contribution to his status in the industry. If this was going to be his contribution, he could have kept this. It seems like it dulls your legacy instead of anything else. It's disgusting. Watching Sam and Egypt, because they're next up, they're driving to his court case to finally see how much time he may get. It's cringe for me for a few reasons, because you can tell that Sam understands how dire his straits are. You can also tell that Egypt is rooted in her naivete surrounding what's transpiring with Sam. There's also this energy coming off of Sam, like he's tired of dealing with Egypt's youthful optimism, because there's a point where, she's like, hopefully things go in our favor. And he's like, yeah, because we wrote the book, right? And she's like, oh no. He's like, because I wish I had this magic eraser. To me, that speaks to him being annoyed by Egypt in this instance. So what Egypt does is she tries to engage in a discussion that they can usually be on the same page with. The TeeTee invite, uninvite. But Sam is not focused on that, because Sam can't focus on that, because Sam knows what he's up against. Sam knows he might not be getting back in that car to go home. Sam knows it could be a Daystar situation for him, whereby grand opening, grand closing, get the cuffs. So that's weird to me. And then Egypt realizing that she can't get Sam caught up in that, she starts trying to be optimistic again. Sam is unimpressed. In this discussion, you see Sam is frustrated with Egypt because he believes that Egypt is the reason he's running 5 minutes late. And that's interesting to me as well, because as important as this is, you would think that he would handle it on his own and she could meet him down to the courthouse if it was going to be a situation of her making him late. He should have been there early, but he wasn't. And now you can tell there's a tension between them based on her taking a bit more time as a pregnant woman get ready. So cringe dynamic is awkward to watch. There's also this weird combination of hand movements that Sam utilizes to control Egypt that, again, is cringe. In conjunction with that, I believe that in order for him to get to the courthouse, they ran a light. Egypt is pregnant. Upon pulling up to the courthouse, Sam hops out, and I get it. Court case, very serious. But Egypt is the least of his concerns. Why? Because he dashes out and runs up the court stairs. He don't look back for Egypt to make sure she's all right. Now, even though he's up against some serious shit, I would think that his concern would be his pregnant wife. But it's not. And then she ends up running just as fast as he is, as if she's not pregnant. It's very bizarre. It's odd to watch. It's so cringe. I hate this for her. I want to wrap these two up real quick because I'm so disgusted. So Sam, he's going to do 1 to 4 years, they're saying. There's a possibility of it. And, you know, again, as they leave the courthouse, there is no care or concern really for his pregnant wife. Just the way he handles and navigates the space around her is disgusting to me. Hell, he almost sits on her in the car, but, you know, whatever, I'm not going to go there. As she is telling him she is ride or die and going to be there for him and loving on him and trying to be supportive, there's this subtle way that he's letting her know, I don't want to hear none of that soft shit. There's that. And then there's this fake plea for her to make sure that regardless of what happens, she takes care of their daughter. The reality is Sam is shook. That's the reality. What we're seeing, though, is a man who cares more for himself than the family he's created. The family I believe he intentionally created to ensure that he has locked Egypt down while he is away. Because there's no reason for her to be pregnant and married to him. She could have just been married. They could have been safer not knowing his future. It's disgusting. So we're finally to TeeTee's welcome to LA party. She's hosting it at a friend's house because she does not yet have a house in LA. She just knows this is where she wants to live, and Shawn is acquiescing. Shawn would prefer LA if there was a direct flight from Jamaica to LA. We know that that doesn't exist. And if you have been wondering where my reviews have been, I had a West Coast trip for work. And I'm coming from New York, and let me tell you, that trip took a lot out of me. So I get where Shawn is coming from. He's like, why are we having a welcome to LA Jamaica themed party? Why don't we just do this in Jamaica? That's him just being funny, but I get it. Throughout the process, you know, they switch scenes to Easy getting a call and meeting up with Romeo because Romeo's going to be a surprise guest at TeeTee's party. Romeo hasn't seen anyone since the last time he saw people. He hasn't seen anyone since he said Angela was acting a little bit too loose and was for everybody. He hasn't seen anyone since Jojo tried to check him like, yo, stop trying to play my sister like a little hoe, because she ain't that. And he wanted to get into the thing with Jojo. He hasn't seen anyone since he went to Vanessa talking cash shit about her sister. And we all know the Simmons don't really get down like that. So Easy calls TeeTee like, can I bring a guest? And TeeTee has questions. She's like, well, a male or female guest? And he's like, well, you know, I'm a married man. And then he cites, oh, you have me on speakerphone? And she's like, yes, I have you on speakerphone because you had people believing that you and I had something and we never had nothing. So my husband's here to hear what I'm saying to you, which I thought was funny, but I get it. In any event, they're doing their welcome back party or welcome to LA party. Everyone's getting along. And here comes Easy with Romeo. That's where we leave things. I guess it's cool. I guess Romeo has a lot to discuss. I personally didn't need to see him return unless we're going to get some backstory on what transpired between him and his dad. I feel like it's possible his dad encouraged him to feel like he was bigger than growing up hip hop until things really hit the fan. I do understand for Romeo, he's lost a sister and he's, you know, reflected on his relationships in his life. And I get him wanting to write that. I just don't think it needs to be on TV. But, you know, it happens how it happens. All right, that's all I got for this. Bye. That's what's goody. That was goody. Thanks for watching. Catch y'all later.